Hey there, Cozy Babe, and welcome back to the Cozy Babes Club. My name is Chloe Taylor, and today we are talking about the big overarching life lessons that I feel like I have been through. I would say some of these could be like accumulative, but I just need to say, I'm turning 34 in less than a month. It is officially Taurus season. I brought the Taurus mug back out this week. It is officially Taurus season, which is my season as a Taurus sun. And my birthday is May 14th. It's coming up in less than a month. I felt like it was time to really discuss, I guess, the lessons for my 33rd year, because I do feel like this year was, in retrospect, a relatively good one. It was very disastrous too, and we'll get into that. I want to talk to you a little bit about personal years, kind of how to calculate them, and I'll tell you what each one means. So this is going to be like a little bit for you as well for the first part of this podcast. But I feel like something I need to say in the beginning of this episode is that everybody tells you, and I know that I am not alone, and I just want to speak this into the void because I know somebody else needs to hear it. I feel like when I turned 30, first of all, it was like the best birthday of my entire life. Like, literally, I was at the fanciest restaurant I've probably ever eaten at. My husband wined me and dined me, which is such a tourist thing. I was staying in San Francisco. I was on vacation. Literally, it was the best birthday I've ever had. Truly, it was like one for the books. Best vacation I've ever been on, best birthday I've ever had. And I think it was because I was able to truly luxuriate on my birthday, which is something I had never been able to do in my adult life. So it was like the peak, okay, the peak of the summit on my 30th birthday. And everyone tells you it's a very common thing in, I feel like, pop culture is to tell the younger generation that's coming in from their 20s, your 30s are the best. Your 30s are the best. Your 30s are the best. I was somebody that when I turned 30, almost 4 years ago, I was excited. I wasn't afraid of 30. I was like literally on my birthday. I cannot make this shit up. When I turned 30, I woke up in this really nice hotel room in San Francisco, and the movie on the TV that was playing when I turned the TV on was 13 going on 30. Like, girl, I could not make this shit up. This birthday was full of magic. But I remember being excited to turn 30. Like, even from my early 20s, I was like, everybody tells you that when you turn 30, you know yourself more, you are more respected by other people. Now, hear me out. When I say respected, I think I have like a very skewed perception of this, in that in my family, I'm the youngest of 7 kids. And if you're not a youngest child, you have no idea. But it's not that your elders don't respect you, it's that nobody takes you seriously. And I feel like that's already an issue with like parents to children. But imagine that 6 times in a row plus parents. So I was so excited to turn 30. I was so excited to be quote unquote taken seriously. I was so excited to feel like I had earned a seat at the family table. And I will tell you, I do think in my own family dynamics that post 30, I was granted that. I do feel like I'm taken a lot more seriously. I do feel like I'm a little bit more listened to. I do feel like my relationships with most of my siblings, I feel like I'm on an equal playing field. I'm not treated like I'm too young and I don't get it. Maybe by some of my oldest siblings, I'm still treated that way, and it makes me want to slap them silly. But this was something that really bothered me. And also, I have Chiron in Cancer, so whenever it comes to family shit, I am your girl for family trauma. I am your girl that's I'm the outlier black sheep, did it differently than everyone else in my family. And I don't say that in a cute, I'm a pick me, I'm different than everybody else, because there are lots of people that have been through that. But I say it as someone that, if you're somebody that goes through that and it's very lonely and isolating, I hope that this episode of the podcast helps you to feel very seen. Okay, that's really what I'm going for with this, with a lot of the things we're going to cover. But, anyways, I digress. My main point that I'm trying to make is that I was always told that your 30s were better than your 20s. And I feel like I was lied to. After my 30th birthday, I had the worst mental health crisis of my entire life. Okay. Still, it reverberates in my life today. Still, I struggle with panic attacks every once in a while. I still struggle with bouts of depression and really high generalized anxiety. I feel like I that was already a really big hard thing to go through, and like I said, still to this day some of those things still like reverberate through. Like 4 years later I'm still dealing with it, which was something I'd never dealt with before. Not to say I'd never had anxiety or that I'd never been depressed before, but I had never dealt with panic attacks before. That was new. And to this day, I'm still having to work through that. And I'm seeking outside therapy now, actually, in my current, like where I am at now in life. I am seeking outside therapy because I finally can. But that was already really hard. That has tainted my 30s. That has made my 30s exponentially more difficult than my 20s ever were. And on top of that, something I don't hear talked about enough, and maybe it was just me, maybe I was like a weird outlier, maybe I'm being a pick-me-sha right now. I don't know. I know that pick-me-sha really is more about like, it has more to do with like pick me towards men, but I feel like we need another word for that. Another word for like, oh, I'm the alt girl. I'm not like everybody else. I'm not trying to be that. And I will call myself out. If I sound like that, like that's not the angle I'm trying to come from. I know there are other people that have gone through what I've gone through. And that's again the point that I'm trying to make, is that I hope this makes somebody else feel seen. But not only do I feel like it was the worst mentally I've ever felt, I feel like the best way I've ever described this, and please, please leave me a star in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to sound like a crazy person to some of y'all, but before I turned 30, I felt like if you've ever played the game Mario, okay, any of them, when you get a star in Mario, not like a star for completing the level, but like a star that like makes you invincible, the star of invincibility. When you get the star of invincibility, you can run and jump and dance and do anything. You're invincible. You're not real, right? I felt like my 20s felt like that. My 20s felt like I had a star and I could do anything. I could run and dance. And even though I didn't have like the financial capital to back it up, I didn't have the prefrontal cortex to back it up. I felt like if I was inspired by something, I would just follow it and follow it and follow it and follow it. And I attribute a lot of my like business success, a lot of my online success to feeling that way, to feeling like it didn't really matter if it was chaotic, I could just go and do. And I'm not saying that there weren't times where maybe I hurt people that I loved with that, because I definitely think those were choices. Like I would put my career first before anything. And there were times where my spouse was like, you work too much. You need to calm down. Like you work too much. I feel like I never see you. And he was right. I also feel like I really alienated myself from family for self-preservation reasons, but also to just like, I guess, make something of myself. I don't know, the problems of 20 somethings, it makes something of yourself. I feel like, to be fair, I hate to say it, but I feel like I've been lied to. I feel like my 20s were exponentially more fun until now. I feel like my 20s were exponentially more fun. I feel like I was a lot less afraid. I did more things. I took more risks. I did the things that they tell you to do in your 20s. Not like I didn't date a whole bunch. I was already married. I don't think I traveled a whole bunch, but I do feel like when it came to my career, my creative spark, my creative energy, I took every risk that was available to me and I felt like I was rewarded for it. And in my 30s, it has been completely the opposite. I feel like anytime I've taken a creative risk, I've been slapped on the wrist for it. Like it's been like, nope, don't do that. You're stepping out of line. Go back to this. And I feel like mentally I have not been as well. Relationally, relationships have been harder. Not only like romantic relationship has been more difficult. Not a bad thing. I do think that we grow through those seasons, and I actually feel like my husband and I have been through a major growth season, and it's actually made us a lot stronger together. But I also feel like along the way, especially into my 30s, I've had to say goodbye to a lot of friendships too. Like it just, and you could say, oh, like you're just more of who you are, so you're making room. Okay, I'm gonna take this hood off because it's driving me nuts. I know it's not as cute without it, but it just keeps slipping. It's pissing me off. But I feel like the girls lied. That's like the point I keep coming to is the girls lied. The girls lied when they said that your 30s are better. I don't feel like my 30s have been better. I feel like I'm almost halfway through my 30s and it has been the hardest decade I've ever been through. I think my 20s were exponentially easier. I had more fun. Did I have less stability? That's kind of hard to say because I feel like in my 30s I've been working on building stability for the first time, but I don't feel like I've had it. I feel like right now, within the last like 6 months, I have put so much work towards building stability. And only 6 months later, I'm like, hey, for the first time this week, a little cheers for me. Celebrate with me. Because y'all literally are my friends. I put money into my savings account, into my like joint savings account for the first time in probably a decade. And it's not money that like my husband and I are thirsty for. We were able just to put it away. And both of us like have our own money to spend on fun things and had money in our joint account. And like, we just didn't have, when I say like, I want to make that so clear because it's so real. And I know a lot of people are financially struggling. So I think it's important to say, I want to make it so clear that like, that is such a normal experience, unfortunately, in today's world. There are also people that put money away constantly that save and like have the ability to do that. It's all everybody experiences, not everybody, but there are, you're not alone. You're not alone. And if you're in your 30s and you feel like you have never saved a fucking dime, girl, I'm sister, I see you. Okay. But that feels good. It feels good to be able to like save and not feel like, oh my God, I need this money or like I'm not going to eat, you know? Anyway, I feel like the girlies lied. I feel like my 30s have been harder. I feel like only right now, as I'm about to turn 34, do I feel like the math is mathing. Things are actually kind of feeling good. And not just like, oh, I'm having a good week or I'm having a good couple of weeks, but like I feel like I'm actually building a foundation that makes sense financially, communally, relationally. Right now, I feel like I'm starting to enjoy my 30s. And so I'm saying all of this to those of you that have just gone through a Saturn return, have just hit the turn of your 30s, and you're fucking miserable because the Saturn return happens close to age 30. Sometimes people hit it at 30 and like it's between 28 and 32. Not that you will experience it from 28 to 32. It's that depending on when Saturn moves, you could already be 30 and you'll experience it up until you're like 32. So it depends. Talk to an astrologer. I do Saturn return readings and I'm actually thinking about re-offering my astrology readings on my website again, but not doing tarot, just doing astrology because I love astrology. Y'all have clocked that about me. I love astrology. I love the language of the stars. I have so much fun with it. I've thought about going back to offering personal astrology readings again because they're a good time. Turning 30 actually can be a really painful graduation. And, you know, your prefrontal cortex been done, but now you're dealing with the repercussions of having to make solid choices. And I feel like for me, I'll speak for myself, at the turn of 30, it was like the first time that I was able to really look back and go, oh, these choices that I made actually did kind of matter. And these were choices. And I just feel like nobody prepared me for that. Everybody was like 30 is better. 30 was not better. 30 was not better. I had a better time in my 20s. It took the first 4 years of my 30s to feel like I have my feet on solid ground. And so, if right when you hit 30, it doesn't feel fucking wonderful, let it get good. Let it germinate. Let that soil like do good things for you. Let yourself really explore it, feel it out. Don't chalk it up to something like you're going to turn 30 and the next day everything in your life is going to align suddenly. Don't treat your 30s how the media taught us to treat our 20s. Don't do it, because it takes time to cultivate those habits, those practices, those communities, those friends, that romantic partner, the career. And I really feel like that's kind of the thing that I don't hear people saying, is that your 30s are also kind of a slow burn. Like, especially you're fresh off that Saturn return, right? You're fresh off of, oh my gosh, these are the consequences of all of my actions, and learning those deep lessons. And yes, you do become more of yourself, but that also still can take time. It's not going to magically happen like Cinda fucking Rella at the stroke of midnight on your birthday, right? Or on the day that, like, yeah, no, on your birthday. That's right. Um, I just wanted to throw that out there in case anybody's struggling with it, that like it's not magic. Your 30s are not magic. They are a time when I do feel like you start to prioritize yourself differently, but it takes time and consistently doing it before you see the magic happen. So, that being said, I want to talk a little bit about personal years. I want to give you a little bit of a lesson, and then we're going to talk about the 6 things that I think I really deeply integrated during my 33rd year. There is wisdom in here for you. I absolutely promise. I have important things to say. This was one of those podcasts that I sat down and I like meditated a little bit with it. And I was like, what do I want to say this week? And this one came to me. Okay. ChatGPT did not help me at all with this one. That's how you know it's going to be good. Now, I don't use ChatGPT to make my podcast. I literally tell it, hey, this is what I'm thinking for this week. Help me outline it. I don't believe in original content coming from ChatGPT. I like to make my own original content. But in any case, I feel like, let's talk about personal years. So, what is a personal year? A personal year in numerology is basically you add your birth month, your birthday, and the year that we are currently in. Some people say it starts on January 1st, your like next year, or it starts on your birthday. I go with the mind that it starts on your birthday. Personally, it just feels better for me. So I choose to go with the birthday. So right now, I am in a personal year 9. Let me explain to you how I got there. My birthday is May, so 5 for May. 14, 1 plus 4 is 5, so 5 and 5, plus 2024, which would be last year's birthday, is 2 plus 2 plus 4, which is an 8. So then we go 5 plus 8, which is 18. And then we go 1 plus 8, because 1 and 8 make 18, which is 9. Now, personal year 9s, they're difficult. Okay. Personal year 9s are there before you start all over again, before you go back to a personal year 1. And personal year 9s, I did find some information on this so I could like tell you about it. Personal year 9s are about completion and release. They are endings, closure, forgiveness, let go of what no longer fits so a new cycle can begin. And I really feel like I went through this. This was my 33rd year. I have purged more than I can even begin to tell you. Like, not only did I move from a 4-bedroom house into a 2-bedroom, that was excruciatingly hard for me. As a Cancer Venus that like really values my home and my space, probably more like, you know how some people, their dream is like to be an astronaut, or their life dream is to like have a family, or to own a yacht, or to own a vacation home, or to end world hunger, or to, I don't know, I'm just throwing shit out there, okay? Be a multimillionaire. Kloee's life dream is just to own a home. That's it. Like, I feel like I'm probably going to spiral after I own a home, because I'm going to be like, what now? So yeah, even though it was a home that I rented, that was devastating for me. Something that I really, really was quite attached to. So not only did I lose the home that I was in, had to downsize massively, but also like I've been through so much turn of like friendship, like friendships not aligning anymore, and watching that slowly change, and going through even my own relationship and like outdated beliefs that I had about it, watching that have to slowly crumble and then change into something else and evolve, having familial relationships change, having communities change, having my line of work change. Like, I basically, any major area that you could think of, I have gone through having to shed. Like, so I'm talking like career, family, health, anything you could think of that would be a major like change for someone. For my 33rd year, I have had to go through that. I have had to go through the shedding of that, whether it was for worse or better. Like, I have had to go through like the ultimate shed. And I will say, I do think that now that I'm close to the end of it, right? I'm in the home stretch of my year 9. I'm in the home stretch. I'm about to start a year 1, and it feels good. I feel like for the first time, you know, recently, and I know I keep talking about it because it's, again, I'm somebody that really values the home space, and I can't drill that in enough that it matters a lot to me. Even if nobody sees it, like, it matters to me that my home environment feel a certain way. Honestly, I probably should have gone into interior design. My problem is that I want things how I want them designed, and I don't want, like, if somebody came to me and was like, "You need to make my space into a Western," I'd be like, "You need to go wash your brain with bleach, and and you need to come up with a new home design concept, because no, like, I don't think I could do interior design because I don't like other people's taste. I like my taste." At least in my own home. But I feel like I would just have a really hard time. But I guess that's why, like, some people, when you're good enough, people come to you because they like your designing. So I don't know. Anyways, another life maybe. But give it another decade. I'm sure she'll try it on. But it matters a lot to me, and like recently, I've really started putting stuff up on the walls in my apartment, and for the first time, I'm actually like, my lease is going to come up here in like what, June, July, August, or 5 months. I'm actually like ready to sign for another year where I live, which is surprising because when I first moved in here, I was like 1 year. We do a 1 year lease and then we go somewhere else. And now I'm like, actually, my little tiny apartment is kind of charming. I kind of like it. I feel like it's cozy and it's comfy, and I've really like made the space my own, and I kind of like it here. Which I can't believe I'm saying it, but I kind of like it here. So that has been just like a really nice turn of events. But in any case, I feel like as I'm coming to the close of it, like, things are now getting easier. I feel like there is new energy on the wind. I feel like there is change in the air. I feel like I can sense that something new is beginning. And it's funny that when I was thinking about this today before I started to put this episode together, I was like, I feel like it's not just spring. Like, something new feels like it's coming in my life. And I was like, you know what? Let me look at my personal year. And it happens to be a year 9. I'm going into a year 1. Okay, so let me tell you about the other personal years. There's only 9 of them because if you get, I mean, I think 11, 22, and 33 might have different meanings, and I don't have those here for you today, unfortunately. But they still carry the energy. Like, 11 carries the energy of 2, 33 would carry the energy of 6, and 22 would carry the energy of 4. So, like, whatever number you get, you have to condense it down until you get 1, like a single digit number, 1 through 9. So, if you got a year 1, it's new beginnings, clean slate energy, start the thing, plant the seed, reinvent yourself boldly. 2 is alignment and trust. Slow down, focus on intuition. I don't know why my laptop sounds like it's blasting off to space right now. I'm sorry if you can hear that, but we're just going to keep going. Focus on intuition, relationships, divine timing, and inner balance. 3 is self-expression and joy. Speak, create, share. This is a year of visibility, creativity, and emotional release. 4 is foundation building. Time to get organized, structured, and serious about your goals. Think long term. 5 is change and freedom. Unpredictable but exciting. Travel, shift, explore, roll with chaos. It's leading somewhere. 6 is love, home, and responsibility. Focus on relationships, self-care, healing family, or romantic dynamics. Tend to your heart and home. 7 is inner growth and spirituality. A soul-searching year. Solitude, study, reflection, spiritual upgrades take center stage. 8 is power and prosperity, money, business, confidence. You're being asked to step into leadership and your own your worth. And then 9 is completion and release, endings, closure, forgiveness, let go of what no longer fits so a new cycle can begin. So like I said, add up your birthday the way that I taught you to. You just use the current year, and you can use 2024 if your birthday hasn't happened yet. And just ask yourself, like, what has been happening for you in your life? What has been going on in your life? Does it fit that as a major overarching theme for the year? And for me, it really does. I do feel like I had a personal 9 year. And the year before, I do feel like I had a personal 8 year. I can really see the trend in that. I can see the overarching theme of all of the major things in my life that had to happen at that time were all feeding that same theme. So, really interesting. I do not recommend a personal year 9, 0 out of 10 for personal year 9. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that because personal year 9, now that I'm at the end of it, I do feel like as a person, I really love the person that I have become through this. And I love who I am right now, and I love who I am becoming right now. It just took some time to get there. But, anyways, now I want to talk to you a little bit more in depth about the things that I've learned over the last year, or the medicine and lessons that I've really integrated. And I feel like there's going to be something in here for you. So let's see. Lesson number 1 is, if you have to struggle for it, let it go. If it sticks around, it was meant to be. If it doesn't, it wasn't supposed to. And obviously, with everything I just told you about having a personal year 9, this is like very on brand. And I think that something I really had to learn this year is, not only if you have to struggle for it, you need to let it go, but I feel like it really kind of boosted my spiritual growth, because y'all heard me a few months ago. I was like, I'm having a crisis of faith. I don't know what's real anymore. And I feel like I had to let go of witchcraft. I had to let go of, and I wouldn't even say I've let go. I think witchcraft is still awesome. I think that there may be a time where I revisit that practice, but right now I'm really okay not doing it. I'm really okay not practicing right now for the first time since I discovered it. And I think it's been really healthy for me, because I think that for me, witchcraft got kind of toxic. I got to a point where instead of having conversations I needed to have, or excuse me, instead of having conversations I needed to have, I would just put people in the freezer, which is totally a spell that you can do and it does work. Instead of having, not only conversations, but like doing work that needed to be done, I would try to just like spell cast and then do nothing. And though those things can work, I feel like for myself, I've gotten to a point where if it's for me, I want it to come into my life and I want it to feel natural. And I don't want to feel like I have to twist and bend the elements to my will, you know? And that's just one take. I don't think all witchcraft is like that. I just think the way that I was practicing got me kind of burnt. And it's just not where I am right now. And so I'm okay letting it go. If I have to struggle for it, like, it's not for me. And I feel the same way about my career right now. If I'm struggling for it, I don't really want it. I don't want to, I'm tired of the struggle. If it feels like I have to struggle to do it or get it done or provide it, I don't want to provide it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to get it done, period. I feel the same way about friendships. If the friendship, like, even if I can't pinpoint what the issue is, if it feels off, and I've tried to have conversations with said person, I don't want it. Like, I would rather just continue to live my life, follow what feels like in alignment and peaceful for me, and let everything kind of fall into my life the way that it wants to, versus trying to struggle for it, trying to struggle to hold on. And I felt that way about my house. I didn't want to struggle for it. And I felt like I was struggling to pay that rent every month. I was struggling to hold on to it. And if you have to struggle for it, I'm not saying it isn't valuable to do hard work for something. My thing is it's one thing to work hard for 6 months, a year for something, but I think it is so beautiful at the same time to look up from that and say, "You know what? I gave this my best shot for 6 months, for a year, whatever your time limit is. It didn't work. I'm tired of struggling. God, either bring it to me easier or I'm putting it down. Period. That's where I'm at in my life right now. And I think it's very freeing. It's very freeing to say, I'm not going to struggle with this anymore. Like, I don't want to, I don't have to, and I'm not going to. Okay, so yeah, I think we've covered that. The next lesson I learned is that you're actually allowed to outgrow things. I feel like this is a lesson that no matter how old you are, you're always going to learn it because you're always going to be outgrowing versions of yourself. You're always going to be outgrowing things that just don't feel in alignment with you anymore. And I feel like even what I said about witchcraft, I don't even want to say that I outgrew witchcraft. I mean, maybe for myself. I think it's okay though to just outgrow. Like, I think about when I was doing my top down tarot readings on my tarot channel, Kloee Taylor. If you're not familiar on YouTube, I have that. I was doing top down readings and it was very lucrative and very successful, but I was modeling that off of what I saw everybody else doing. And when I originally started reading tarot, you can look back on my channel. A lot of the videos are privated, so I don't know if you can see all of them, but I used to read sitting at a desk with my face with tarot cards. Like, that was how I started. And I feel like now that's kind of what I've been gravitating towards, and it happened very naturally. I didn't have to force that. It happened very naturally, and now I'm like, oh, those are some of my best readings. Like, I'm really proud of what I'm doing right now, and I can let go of this, like, oh, but it has to be aesthetic. It has to fit in the way everybody else is doing it, or nobody's going to watch it, because it's frankly just not true. One of my videos recently like really popped off, at least for like my channel. And I was like, see, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be this way. It can be whatever my artistic senses are telling me I want to do in that moment. And it doesn't like, you're allowed to outgrow ways of doing things. You're allowed to outgrow hobbies. You're allowed to outgrow business ventures. You're allowed to outgrow people. You're allowed to outgrow people. Even if it's like, I feel like outgrowing people probably is like well, no, all of it. Outgrowing people, outgrowing spirituality, outgrowing careers, outgrowing relationships in general, anything that you outgrow, like, I do think it can be a painful process because you have to mourn that, right? I think that's actually the hard part, is looking back and saying, thank you for all that you provided in my life, but I don't need it anymore. And thank you for all of the wonderful times, but I got to choose to walk this new path now. And it's okay to outgrow, no matter what it is. It's okay to outgrow. It's okay to wake up one day and say, you know what? That isn't what I want anymore, and I've outgrown this. Okay, this one I feel like a lot of people just need to hear, and I will say it again and again and again. You've probably heard me say it before. Online life is not real life. Okay, don't get me wrong. Do not get it twisted. I do think friends that you can make online, relationships you can make online, those are real. Okay, most of my friends, actually, all of my friends right now are online friends. Like, even my closest bestie that I've been friends with since I was 15 years old. I mean, she's also like an IRL friend too. I consider my online friends IRL friends though, because I've met all of them, almost all of them. I can think of like a handful of people that I've never actually met physically, but that is real. Okay. Those connections are real. But if you are in the trenches every single day, watching the news, scrolling social media, really letting your mind be saturated with how terrible the world is, and I'll die on this hill, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Shut that shit off. Take the news apps off your phone. Trust me when I tell you, if you want to be informed, I also feel like this is such a construct. Like, I don't, I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist because I don't even think that's cool, but I feel like it is almost a conspiracy. The way that we have all convinced ourselves that we need to stay informed or we're bad people. It's like tied, the way that people feel like they need to stay informed is tied to what's the word, tied to morality. And it's not. Like, you can be a good person and be super uninformed. You can still love your neighbor, take care of your home, take care of people in your life, be a nurse, be a doctor, whatever, and not be on the pulse of the news, seeing what's happening across the world every second of every day. And don't get me wrong, I think it's valuable to know things. But as somebody that has not watched the news outside of 2020, I did get a little into it in 2020, like I think a lot of us did. Outside of 2020, I have not consumed the news since I lived at home when I was 18. I'm about to be 34. So, what is that? Over 15 years of not consuming the news. If it's really important, somebody will tell you. Somebody will tell you, you will hear about it. It will be somewhere. You will be informed. Trust me, test it out. Take all the news apps off your phone, change the memory programs of the news channels in your TV, take them off of your search history, clear your search history, do it for 2 weeks and see if you're not informed. Somebody will inform you, I promise. I've been doing this for over 15 years. Somebody will inform you. And it's sad to me that I feel like so many of us link our morality to paying attention to things that are really disruptive to our nervous system. You're not going to be a helper in your community, with your neighbor, loving the people that are closest to you that you could actually make an impact on when you are nervous to high hell and your nervous system is shot. And this is something that I feel like if we are constantly plugged in like that, you start to think that every person is out to get you. You start to think that everybody's a terrible person, everybody's bad, nobody's cool, everybody hates women, everybody hates, you know, just all of it. You start to get there. And it takes meeting with a community of other people to see that the world actually isn't like that. And I'm not saying there aren't outliers, okay? I'm not saying there aren't people that wish bad things on the world. I'm not saying that there aren't people that support causes that to me would send us backwards. That's obviously real. But in your day to day, in your community, can you love the farmer? Can you love the jeweler? Can you love the person baking that bread? Can you love the delivery man? Can you love, like, that's what I'm getting at. Is when I say online life isn't real, it projects a very specific picture of what the media gets like the most views and paid for you watching. It's whatever basically drives up your attention and it irritates you. It's made to be inflammatory. And I'm already inflamed enough, okay? I got PCOS, I got problems. I'm already inflamed enough. I don't need to be mentally inflamed. And I feel like going through this last year of my life, I protect my peace like the ferocity of a fucking mama bear that just gave birth. Like, I do not fuck around with my peace. My peace is something that I don't fuck with that. And I've had to learn because my nervous system is very easy at this point to shake because I'm still working on it. I'm working on nervous system regulation really intensely. And I'm very easy to shake, right? I feel like I'm full of a lot of nervous energy. And the more that I'm plugged into that and on the pulse of it, the more I notice that I'm anxious. I go to bed anxious. I wake up anxious. Like it's no good for me. I'm also a highly sensitive person. So like maybe somebody who's not isn't as affected, but I find that I'm very affected and I have to remind myself that's not real. Like the way that things are portrayed to appear in the world are not real. That is not how every single person in your community lives. Not every single person is full of that much hatred. And there are so many people that are full of love and love to give. And the more that you interact in person, in community, in connection, that's how we're actually going to heal the world. So get off the internet. Go touch grass. That's what I mean when I say that. Okay. Your choices are sacred. This one, oh man, I feel like this one hits me over the head like once a year at this point, post 30, at least, sometimes multiple times, but I just got one of these like this week. But your choices are sacred. Fully look back, and it might hurt, but that's okay. You will look back at what could have been. It's giving La La Land is what I wrote. And it's okay to mourn what could have been while still holding the right now lovingly. So if you haven't seen the movie La La Land, I'm going to spoil it for you. So skip ahead if you don't want to know the ending. At the end of the movie or the end of the musical, the main female lead goes to this jazz building where the guy that she was previously with for all of the movie is working, and he owns this club. She goes there to watch the performance, and he's there. And suddenly you see this like TV screen appear, and it shows what could have been had they stayed together. And it's so beautifully heartbreaking. But like, I feel like I didn't appreciate this movie until retrospect, until now. I watched it like this year, and it's such a good movie. It's such a good movie. That I couldn't appreciate that because in my own life, I hadn't looked at that. I hadn't said, wow, but it could have played out such a different way. And this was a choice that I made that was so highly impactful. And this has happened in my life where I've had my moment like that movie where I've looked back and I've been able to kind of see, wow, this is really what my life could have been. And I chose something different. Was moving away from home. I will die on the hill that you, in your lifetime, should you have the opportunity to move away from your hometown, move, go. Like, it is so, I feel like, important to development to see who you are outside of community and family if you get the opportunity. And, or give yourself the opportunity. You know, you could go that route too. But I've actually moved away from home twice. I now currently don't live close to my hometown, and I just don't think I ever will again, truly. And I try to never say never in my life, but I just don't see that for myself. And the second time was enough. But I feel like I'll never forget going back to my parents' house after having not been there for like 7 years and just having all the information that I have now, knowing all that I know about psychology and family psychology and healing family trauma and healing from, honestly, CPTSD, all that I know, I remember just like sitting in my parents' kitchen and just witnessing every pattern play out in front of me. And I saw it all. Like it just, and I didn't even like rise to speak, try to rescue anyone. I just sat there and I observed. And it was just this like, wow, this really could have been my life. Like, don't get me wrong, there are beautiful things I could have had that I've had to say no to in order to live how I live. Like, I don't get to call my family up and say, hey, I made extra dinner. Come by if you want to. I don't get to make baked goods and take half of them over to my parents' house. I don't get to wake up on Christmas morning and ask my spouse, your family's house or mine. Like, there are a lot of things I don't have, and that's very sad. It's very sad. But there's also a lot of things I don't have and I'm grateful. Like so much of the way that I feel like, especially my parents interact and talk to each other and talk to the rest of my siblings and just like these patterns that have gone on for years and decades and probably generations. I just don't because I've just learned and developed differently because I was allowed to, because I didn't become a full-fledged adult living in my parents' home. I did it on my own in a different way with different support, different community. And I feel like it made me a really different person. I feel truly, and I don't say it as a negative, I truly feel like a black sheep in my family. Like I am not like the others. I am a very different person. And the people that I'm closest to in my family come to me for things that they can't go to other people in my family for. And it's just, it's definitely really like, it is, like I said, it's literally like La La Land. If you haven't seen the movie, you probably do not understand, or maybe you understand because of what I've said, but it just, I feel like I've had full circle moments like that a lot this year. And like just this week, I was in a text chat with my family, and basically every person wasn't really agreeing with what I was saying, and we weren't arguing. At least I don't think so. I didn't feel like I was arguing. We weren't arguing, but there was nobody was really agreeing with what I was saying, in the sense that, and I will die on this hill, and I'm fine with that. I don't need anyone else to agree with me. But I was saying that, like, I think in the family system, when you have older children taking care of younger children and acting as parents, it's wrong and it's irresponsible. And children should be allowed to be children. And you shouldn't have, my parents being the irresponsible parents in this, shouldn't have children if that's what's happening. Like, if you are so encumbered with your own life that you can't take care of all the kids that you had, you frankly shouldn't have had them. And I don't know one person that would disagree with me on that, of course, except for my own family, which is hilarious. It just, I just don't agree. I think children should have been allowed to be children. And what it illustrates to me is there are plenty of people in my family that have not met that part of themselves. They have not met that child part of themselves that is full of rage over the fact that they didn't get to be children. Because all of us have that in some capacity, right? Unless you had, like, and even the people that I think had excellent childhoods probably still have some upset about something. But this is like a hill that I will die on, that, like, children should be allowed to be children. It's irresponsible and it's wrong. Even if the older children in question built relationships with younger siblings that they are grateful for, and it, like, did good things for them, it can be two things. It can be, hey, I deserve to be a kid, but also I'm grateful for the memories that I get to cherish and the things that this taught me. Like, it can be two things. And I definitely see that it can be two things. But anyways, I'm bringing this up because this week it ties into what I'm saying. I was starting to get anxious because nobody was agreeing with me. And I was like, ooh, why do I feel anxious? And then I realized, with my own psychological thinking, that I was like, I feel anxious because I am going against the tribe. I am saying to the whole ass tribe, no, I don't agree. I don't respect it. And this is not how it should have been. All of you deserved better. Like, I didn't say it quite like that. I think to just one sibling in particular, I did say that they deserved better and, like, I was sorry. But I started to feel anxious because nobody was agreeing with me or seeing what I was trying to say. And it brought up in me this physical reaction of, like, ooh, somebody's in disagreement with me. I'm going against the tribe. And I feel weird about that. And a past version of me, oh my God, y'all, I would have fawned to high hell. If you don't know what fawning to me is almost like people pleasing, in the sense that when you notice somebody doesn't agree with you, you kind of change your tone. You change your tone, you start to kind of placate them, you try to, like, it just, there's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. I tend to be a fawner. And it sucks because I step out of my authentic self and I step out of the things that I actually believe, and I will start to try to smooth things over. And I didn't do it. I just stopped responding. I stopped responding. I put my phone in another room. I turned it off. I took my Apple Watch off and I put it in another room. And I said, you know what, Kloee? It's okay. Two things can be true. Those opinions can be true, but your lived experience can be true as well. You can be resentful. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to feel how you feel. And instead of feeling like you need to get these three people to agree with you, just be in your own energy. Be in your house. Be in the life that you chose, even though, like, it's okay. Like, their experiences are real and true. Your experiences are real and true. None of them are wrong. But instead of feeling like I need to fawn or agree or change my attitude, no, I know what I think. I know what I believe, and I'll die on that hill. I do still. And I would say it to I've said it to my parents' faces and they have agreed with me, like that it was irresponsible. And I was like, no, I don't need them to agree. And it's okay that I'm feeling anxious about this. But instead of giving in and fawning, how can I look at my own life and say, like, wow, what a beautiful life I have cultivated and created, even though I think so differently, I behave so differently, I am different. How can I enjoy the life that I have right now in front of me instead of fawning? And so I put all my tech away. I put a record on the record player, which I love records for being grounded in the present because you can't skip songs. You can't repeat songs unless you pick up the little needle, right? It's something that makes you have to be like ridiculously present because you have to flip the record when it stops. And like it's a very present experience. I put a record on and then I went into my kitchen and I baked cookies from scratch. I had all the ingredients there, thank goodness, and I baked cookies from scratch and I like really got in with my hands. And I was just like I came down completely. I was anxious up to here and immediately I dropped back into my body and I was present and I was grounded and I was centered. And anyways, my point is like even in that moment, my choices were sacred because I think choosing to look at the hard things in my family, not choosing to fawn, pretend that it didn't happen, pretend that everything was cool, that my childhood made me who I am. Like, sure, we could say all of those things are true, and we can still say that we didn't deserve it, right? And I choose to hold that. I choose to hold that uncomfortability. I choose to hold my parents accountable. I choose to lead my life differently from that perspective instead of trying to do what I feel like everybody in my generational line has chosen to do. And it's okay that that makes me uncomfortable. It is a choice that I choose to live with. And like, this is so much bigger than this one experience. I feel like I don't even know if I'm explaining it or doing it justice by talking about it this way. But like, my point is like, it really made me and forced me to have to be present and say, you know what? Who am I trying to impress with this opinion? Who am I trying to get to agree with me? My choices are my choices. This is what I think. This is what I believe. Nobody can take that from me. And how can I be present in my life with myself right now instead of trying? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it was a very eye-opening experience this week, and I'm not bringing any of this up to like damn the family involved in question. I know one of my siblings that was in that conversation listens to my podcast, and I'm not trying to damn anybody. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not it was an experience that had more to do with me. And it just it really made me have like a full circle moment of like, wow, I really am different. And that's okay, and I love that about me. And my choices are sacred for my journey. And they only need to be sacred for my journey. They don't need to be sacred for my siblings' journey. They don't need to think how I think. It's okay that this is where I live, this is how I live, this is who I am. And dare I say it? I love myself. I love who I am. I love the choices that I've made. Anyway, kind of on that same thread, action moves anxiety. You got to do something, period. Working with my hands has been a must. So this one's kind of short, sweet, to the point, but I deal with a lot of generalized anxiety. I'm still working through it from 2021. My 30s have been really hard for my mental health. But I feel like something that I have really come back to is when I feel anxious, working with my hands is a must. So I've gotten really into baking, like really into baking the last few weeks. Like have made cookies, I've made caramel bars, I'm making lemon bars this week. I have gotten so into baking. And it's funny because I used to always say I'm the chef, my husband's the baker. No, actually I'm a baker too. I have come to the conclusion that actually I'm kind of good at baking. I don't know why I've ever told myself that I'm not. I'm actually kind of good at it. Still working on the Cozy Babes Club cookbook. It's gonna happen. I'm working on it. I've been getting really into food photography again too. But I've been getting like really into baking and working with my hands because it calms my anxiety. And I also build a lot of Legos. If you're somebody that wants to like get invested with your hands, those are two things that I really recommend. But also, I feel like when I'm anxious, it's the lack of action. It's the like, I'm just going to sit here and think about it's the executive dysfunction, right? I'm going to sit here and think about all the things I need to do instead of blasting into action. And I've gotten to a point where anytime I'm really anxious, I make myself do something because usually I'm anxious about the things I'm not doing. And it gets like really bad. And then I spiral on all other kinds of anxiety that aren't about that. So, yeah, I just find that for myself, when I'm really anxious, action makes it better. And lastly, and probably most importantly, to have a village, you have to be a villager. So there is so much talk right now in pop culture, mainstream media, especially I feel like amongst women, where we all feel like we don't have a village. There's no village. But here's the thing. In order to have a village, you have to be willing to be a villager. And not all of you are like this. Like, there are so many of you that if you felt like you had a community, you would be the best villager. But the thing is, it's not just about, oh, I am going to, if I could just find the community, if I could just find the community, I'll be the villager. No, you also, if you can't find the community, you need to step up and be the village leader. Like, you need to step up and make the event and invite people to get together about a shared activity. You need to be that person. Get it together however it makes sense for you. Go do it at a park, do it somewhere free. Do it at a library, do it at whatever, wherever, whatever you have available to you. Because even when I lived out in the sticks, there was still a rich community in the sticks that were like meeting for knitting activities and reading activities and all kinds of shit. I feel like now living in a much more populated city, which I love, by the way, very cosmopolitan, very happy, very, very, I don't know. I will never live in the sticks again after that experience. I'm too cosmopolitan for that shit. But I feel like being here, finding community groups and things, it's, I really like, I'm ready to like be a villager. I'm ready to like be humbled because you know what? I think this is something I don't talk about enough that I think because I have been somebody online for so long and I've been a leader most of the time, like I'm usually somebody that leads a community. I feel like I was always used to standing up and doing that. And for the first time in my life, being a villager, I am ready to let somebody else lead and I am ready to be humble. And it's been so good for me. I go to an astrology meetup now every month and I feel like I'm part of a village. I feel like I'm part of something. And even though I've just gotten started, I've only been a few times, I feel like I'm a part of something. And I'm constantly humbled. Even though there are a lot of things I know about astrology, every time I leave those meetings, I've learned something new. And I love it. I love being led by other people instead of always feeling like I got to be the one in charge. I got to be the HBIC. It's nice to not be the HBIC. If you don't know what that means, that's head bitch in charge. It's nice to not be the HBIC. It's nice to let somebody else do it. But what I'm trying to get at with being a villager is that and I've said this before, even if you have to like cancel plans with someone, which happens from time to time, it's really important as the villager that you say, hey, I can't make it this time, but can we get lunch another day? Can I meet up with you at this time? Can I provide this at the next event? It's really important that you do those, like, don't just, as somebody that used to say, like, I'm an introvert, I always want to be alone, I always want to be home. Something I learned about myself, and I'm not saying that introverts aren't real because they are, but for myself, calling myself an introvert was a cope. I'm not an introvert. I'm an extrovert. I love people. I love talking to people. I love conversing. I love community. I always have. I'm a yapper girl. I love talking to people. I'm not introverted. I am traumatized. I'm not introverted, I'm traumatized. And I would tell myself I was an introvert and I would use that as an excuse to stay home and say no to things and never go to events and never meet with other people. And, oh, I'm introverted. I need to recharge my batteries. Girl, from what? Like, again, this is not me saying introverts aren't real. I think there are so many of you out there that really are introverted people. For me, though, I was never an introvert. I've never been an introvert a day in my life. I love people. I love conversing. It was me not knowing how to cope with the social anxiety and choosing to stay home instead. Now, social anxiety be damned. I'm doing it anxious. I don't care. I have lived the loneliest season of my life the last couple of years, and I will never, and I repeat, never live that way ever again because it was the most detrimental to my mental health. And I will never play with myself like that ever again. Something else I feel like I learned, bonus. But to have a village, you got to be a villager. So if you don't feel like those community events are happening, you have to be the one that steps up and makes them. See who turns up for that. And if there are events, you got to go. And like I said, if you cancel, being a villager means that. It means, hey, I can't do this day. I'm sorry. Can we do this day? Or can I step up in another way? Or like if somebody is sick in the village, can you take them some soup? Can you provide them a listening ear? Like you can't just accept the graces of the village and not feed into the village is what I'm saying. So, yeah, that's like those are like the biggest lessons I feel like I've learned over this last year. This episode is definitely longer than I thought it would be. I'm kind of tired of talking. I feel like I always hit my peak at like 45 minutes in, and if I go longer than that, can tell that my energy like drops. So I'm gonna go. But if you want to support this podcast, please make sure to sign up for my Patreon. You get a ton of exclusive content over there. I just put up a new hair tutorial actually. So many of you have asked me how, not today. The hair is not hairing today, but my last podcast, like so many of you were like, your hair girl, how do you do that? I put out a hair tutorial for you. It's already up on the Patreon. There's astrology forecasts. I think I actually am going to start teaching an astrology foundations course inside of my Patreon. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure that you join. And is there anything else I want to say to you? I mean, follow me everywhere, right? I've got my website where you can buy courses available to you. I've got my email list. I've got my Discord. I've got my Blue Sky, my TikTok, my Instagram. Everything is down below. So if you want to follow me, you like this vibe, make sure that you do. But anyways, I love you so much. Please do not forget to follow your plan and not your mood. And I will see you next week. Bye.